My one for the road today is about Mauricio Pochettino, the alleged new coach of the team. We're all accepting it as fact, although it hasn't officially been announced. Again, we're recording this on Monday, August 26th. Who knows? By the time you listen to this or watch this, Pochettino might be officially the new coach of the U.S. men's national team. But we are also in the political season, right? And when we talk about people that are elected, oftentimes when we're talking about presidents, we talk about their first 100 days. And what is it going to look like for them, whether it's a candidate or in this case, a coach, because they're important. Oftentimes you are judged relative to that first 100 days. There is a look back and a exploration as to what went well, what didn't go well. How does this bode for the future? And the same thing is going to happen for Pochettino relative to the U.S. men's national team. And when you look back at history and you look back at some of the coaches for the U.S. men's national team, you realize that Pochettino, we already knew, doesn't have a long time, but even relative to history, is going to have a very short period of time to do whatever magic it is that he is going to do. You look at, Gregg Berhalter, who made his debut back in 2018. In his first 100 days, he went 3-0-1. Actually started out really, really well. Bruce Arena, on the other hand, went 1-0-2, one win, 0 losses, and 2 ties. And he made his coaching debut in 1998. We know he went on to big things and historic things. Jurgen Klinsmann was 2 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw when he started back in 2007. And the list goes on and on and on, with Bob Bradley the same way coming in, and even Steve Sampson, who ultimately it didn't end up well for him, but still came in with a 5-5-1 record in that first 100 days. Bora Milutinovic 6-1-1. So, what all of that says is, I think Pochettino has to come in, and as we've talked about, that feeling, that sense that you get when you are excited, and you are maybe even a little bit surprised as to what's going on. He's got to have that. We've talked about the games that this team has coming up, including, by the way, going down to Mexico, which I think is going to be a real test. And I think for Pochettino, while he can certainly kick cans down the road, and he can certainly talk about, this is a quote unquote process, as all coaches and managers often do. This is about the summer of 2026. Okay, that's all fine and well, but we need to see someone that's going to come in and hit the ground running, and is going to establish, either through, just the results that you get, but I guess more importantly in how those results come to be, that this is something different, that this is not simply a continuation of what we have seen, because let's be honest, he was hired not to continue to do that. And so whether it's the individual players that are playing at a higher level than they have been in the past under Gregg Berhalter, or whether it's the team that is getting results that you didn't have confidence that this team was going to get. It's not all going to work. And just like any, first 100 days for a politician or for a coach, it's not all going to work. But at the end of that 100 days, what I hope for Mauricio Pochettino is that we look back and say, you know what? This was something different. This was something that I can bite into. This is something that I can hold on to relative to the future and relative to that barreling, end game that is the summer of 2026. And if he is able to do that in the first 100 days, I think that bodes well leading up to 2026 in less than 2 years that's happening here. But it is important, I think, that he starts off in a positive way. And yes, that relates to winning and losing. It's not all about winning and losing, but I think that he has to show, like I said, individuals and a team that is doing things that we haven't seen in the past, where you go, look at that. I didn't realize that guy could do that. Or, I didn't realize that my team, as the U.S. men's national team, could play like that. And then you're going to feel something. And that's his job. And if he's able to do that, I think it'll serve him well going forward into 2026. And if he is unable to do that, I think that could be real problematic. And God forbid there's a regression in any way when it comes to the players or the team. Mosse?
Last week was Founders Day at Fox Sports. We had a lovely party here in the Fox lot, and I was hanging out with Stu Holden and our boss, Zach Kenworthy, and we were talking about Pochettino, and we all agreed it's going to be interesting to see if there's a player who we considered one of these sacred cows, who we just assume is going to be part of the nucleus moving forward, that Pochettino doesn't rate. He looks at him and says, no, not for me, doesn't fit my style. Could it be a Gio Reyna, Weston McKennie, somebody like that? I don't know, but we just sort of take for granted that the players that were all key players under Berhalter are going to remain that way. You never know. Somebody with a different set of eyes, a different philosophy might see things differently.
Yeah, but I don't think it will be done out of sending a message. I do think that it will be if that is done at all, by the way, and I'm not even convinced that it'll be done at all. But if there is somebody that is in a certain way sacrificed, I think it will be done because Pochettino truly believes that the team it doesn't need him, or it's detrimental to have that player going forward. But I don't think that's ultimately going to happen. I think he'll look at it and say, I can make these guys better. And let's be honest, that's why he's been being paid a lot of money, and that's what he's been hired to do. So we will see if that ultimately happens. But, this was ultimately about the way that I'm thinking about this next 100 days, especially relative to the past and the limited amount of time that Pochettino has relative to most of the coaches that we have had in the past, but still a necessity of getting things done and being in a much more positive light after that first 100 days. And we'll come back and we'll revisit this again after the first 100 days and see what has gone well and what hasn't gone well. Or if everything's gone well, that's great. Money well spent.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.